Hey everyone, Internet PCS book reader here. Today I want to talk about Medea and Other Plays by Euripides. The most famous Greek author and where we got a lot of Greek mythology is most likely Homer. His Iliad and Odyssey story is something that we still hear different versions of today. But Euripides is on at least a close second to Homer. He mainly wrote Greek tragedy plays where a lot of these fantastical heroes is more human than ever, with various mistakes that causes, tragedies. This writing style still affects how people wrote drama in either drama in itself or other stories that have some element of drama in them. Even comics like Marvel and DC can be said to be affected by his style of writing. And in this book, we will focus on 4 of his most famous plays. The first one, Medea, is a story set after Jason and Argonauts got the Golden Fleece with Medea's help. They escaped together to Corinth, he married Medea, and they lived for decades and got more than 10 children. Their peace was broken when Jason left Medea for Glauce, the king of Corinth's daughter, in order to inherit the throne of Corinth. To pour salt into the wounds, Creon, the king himself, tried to banish Medea out of Corinth because he's afraid of Medea's capability to harm them. Medea begs for another day to settle her affair before she had to leave. The king granted her a day, but threatened to kill her if she didn't leave after the one day was given to her. Jason then also came to shame her for not making the right choice. Since they treated her as enemies, she treated them equally. She commits to killing the bride and those who touch her, and since she is unwilling to leave her sons to the enemy hand, she planned to kill them too. When we hear Medea's story, we often only hear about the Golden Fleece quest or about Medea's murdering her children out of revenge and madness. But it's also very clear that the Greek gods are against Jason, because it's more of a story for false heroes. All of Jason's success with the Golden Fleece is not from his action. It is hinted that he begged and grabbed onto Medea to ask for her help, despite leading arguably the strongest fleet that Greek has ever seen. Jason didn't really do anything deserving of the fleece, but his promise to Medea. I can just imagine during the decades they live in Corinth, where at first Jason is happy with what he got, then people started getting bored at him telling the same story over and over when it's very clear that Medea is the one that did all the work. Then they started making fun of him, whispering behind his back that he didn't deserve the glory from the Argo quest. Feeling more and more insecure, he saw the king's daughter and saw a chance to hold on to glory. And since he's blessed with honey tongue, he's glib and charming, he got her to agree to marry him behind Medea's back. As a result of him not honoring his promise, the gods agreed to dishonor him. The tragedy then unfolded, the bride and the king died, and then Medea killed her sons. She then got away with the golden chariot from the sun god Helios, proving that the gods is behind her. Then Jason died alone with no family nor friends beside him, and then he died sleeping near the symbol of his old glory, the rotting Argo ship. He died when one of the beam of the ship fell on him. All the Greek gods would rather have Medea become more infamous than having Jason become famous. They really went, "This douchebag? Ain't no way." I think that's also why Jason is one of the less known Greek characters. I mean, people will think of Jason from Friday the 13th before they think of the Greek Jason. My favorite quote from Medea's play is, "I have no more to say. You will yourself know best how to evade reprisal. As for human life, it is a shadow, as I have long believed. And this I say without hesitation. Those whom most would call intelligent, the propounders of wise theories, their follies of all men the most culpable. Happiness is a thing no man possesses. Fortune may come now to one man, now to another. As prosperity increases, happiness never." Then the second story of the book is Hecabe, the former queen of Troy after the city has fallen. Her son Hector has died under Achilles' hand. Priam, her husband, has been killed during the city siege. The city has fallen and she is now a slave among many of the captured Trojans. Her only hope is her son Polydorus that she sent away to escape, and her daughter Polysena who she kept near her for safety. But she's yet to know that Polydorus has died from betrayal. The story in fact opens up with his ghost monologuing, narrating the story so far. Meanwhile, Odysseus wants to take away Polysena to sacrifice her for Achilles' burial. Hecabe begged Odysseus to not take her daughter since she once saved his life, but Odysseus is the one that suggested to sacrifice Polysena, so he's too ashamed to take back his word. Meanwhile, Polysena that has fallen did not want to live anymore. They killed Polysena, and while in the process of her burial, the body of Polydorus came to shore. So before burying both of her children, She made a plan to revenge her son's betrayal. She got her revenge, but Polymaster, the king that killed Polysena, tells a prophecy before his death. Hecate will turn into a dog and throw herself to the sea, while Agamemnon and Cassandra, the last of Hecate's child, will be killed by Agamemnon's wife, Clytemnestra. My favorite quote from Hecate is, "It is deplorable, Agamemnon, that men's words should ever seem to speak more loudly than their deeds. Good deeds alone should make their doer eloquent, and bad deeds dress themselves in rotten arguments, not gloss their foulness with fair colors. There are men who make this practice a fine art. Their cleverness, so-called, cannot last long. They all, without exception, come to a bad end." The third story is Electra. Electra is Agamemnon's daughter that is held in captivity after Agamemnon was killed by Aeacus and Clytemnestra. She was married to a virtuous peasant while her brother Orestes fled from the country to save his life. But it is during this play that Orestes has returned and planned for their revenge. Agamemnon, in seeking glory at Troy, is cursed for killing Iphigenia, his daughter. Clytemnestra, in her revenge, is cursed for killing Agamemnon, and now her children Orestes and Electra is cursed for avenging their father and killing her mother. My favorite quote of Electra is, "There's no clear sign to tell the quality of a man. Nature and place turn vice and virtue upside down. I've seen a noble father breed a worthless son, and good sons come from evil parents. A starved soul housed in a rich man's palace, a great heart dressed in rags. By what sign then one's tell good from bad? By wealth's a false standard. By possessing nothing then? No, poverty is a disease, and one itself trains man in crime. Or must I look to see how men behave in battle? When you're watching your enemy's spear, you don't know who's brave, who's a coward. The best way is to judge each man as you find him. There's no rule. This man is not a leading archived citizen. He's not a well-known member of a famous house. He's one of the many, yet he's a true nobleman. Then all you blunderers, full of empty theories, why not give up your folly and judge men's qualities by the company they keep and by the way they act?" Finally, the last story is Herakles. Herakles has gone to Hades for his last quest when his family is pursued by the usurping king of Theban, Lycus. His father Amphitryon is old and frail, and his wife Megara and their children are defenseless. Meanwhile, their friends has abandoned them. Thankfully, Herakles got back at the nick of time, saving his family, and they're supposed to live happily ever after since he has finished all the trial given to him. But the gods sent madness to him until he killed all his children and his wife. My favorite quote from Herakles is, "Do you think words will make Lycus sorry for us? Impossible. If your enemy is a man of honor or gentle birth, yield to him and you may touch his heart, perhaps in generous terms. If he's a rat, beware." I think it's really amazing how a lot of the messages from the story still holds. There are parts of the story that are a bit, "Women, am I right?" Now. But other than those, there are a lot of lessons on virtue that shine through the stories. To be aware of people with honeyed words like nowadays motivators, gurus, and coaches. To learn from experience, but to not use them to overgeneralize. Instead, to judge things on individual basis and case-by-case basis. To know that life is short and what we often held valuable can be easily taken away from us, and then all that is left is our action and our choices, and that action should be louder than words. Especially in today's society where words seems to hold more value with more like buttons. There is so much great story from Euripides that people need to read more even if they're stage play script and not really a novel. It's kinda unfortunate that a lot of the details of his story has been forgotten, since all that is known from the story is its retelling mostly, because a lot of it still holds up really well. I really hope that with the rise of Stoicism lately, we also see an increase on people's interest at Greek original stories. I give this a 4.5. What do you think? Are you gonna read it? Did I miss anything? Leave your thoughts in the comment below and subscribe to the channel. That's about it.